All right, good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 27th day of July, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Rent Protection Special Investigation Committee. We had a scheduled 5 p.m. start time. The clock on my cell is showing 5:21. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilman Navarro,
Here.
Councilman Zupa. Or, I'm sorry, it was Brooks that's on it, not Zupa. But not here. Councilman Griffin, Councilman Gilmore,
Present.
Councilman Efros,
Present.
Councilman Little, Councilwoman Little, and Councilwoman Singh is absent. So we have 4 council members in attendance. At 5:22 p.m., can we kindly rise for the salutation of the flag? I pledge allegiance on behalf of the members of the Rent Protection Special Investigation Committee, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the notice of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Thursday, July 23rd, 2026 at 2 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation counsel, and the local newspapers and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council Chair and Pro Temp Frankie Gilmore, would you like to take it?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
These are blank.
Yes. Well, I think the public can still see. Can we double check?
I just want to make sure the,
Yeah,
And you-
because
yeah.
that one is, they just.
so the streaming is working. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to participate in the public comment portion of this committee. I know it is not an easy thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. And this is going to help us as we begin to continue to investigate what's been going on here in Jersey City. It's going to help us make strong recommendations so things can be done and put in the right place. So with that being said, does any other the board members have any statements to make before we go into public testimony?
Thank you. I just want to echo Councilman Gilmore, Chairman Gilmore's comments, and thank you all for coming out. Your voices are a really important part of this process, and we've heard from different leaders in City Hall so far. We've heard from the former Division of Housing Preservation Director, as well as staff members from the Division of Housing Preservation. We've heard from the acting municipal prosecutor. We've heard from corporation counsel. And, we are looking forward to hearing directly from you, the tenants, today, and hearing how we could be doing better. And as we synthesize all the information we've learned, your feedback is equally important, if not more important, than what we've learned so far. So thank you.
I'll just share. Since our last session, my council office has co-hosted a Tenants Know Your Rights workshop and community meeting where we had dozens of residents come in and learn about their rights because even before we get to the stage of enforcement, which we're trying to unpack and strengthen here, we want to make sure that every individual tenant and groups of tenants are empowered with the knowledge of what their rights are. I know that they have us as allies. This issue is just so pressing, though, because also in the past weeks, my office has learned about residents who are facing illegal evictions, facing predatory leases, it sounds like, illegal rent hikes. So we have continuous issues with tenants facing bad actor landlords in Jersey City, just here in the Heights or just up in the Heights. So I know this is happening throughout Jersey City, and appreciate my colleagues for taking this matter really seriously. And most of all, I appreciate you all for coming out here to share your stories and help us make this all work.
Well, thank you all for coming out this evening. Not on? Oh, there you go. Thank you all for coming out this evening. My name is Rolando Lavaro, City Councilman at Large. I promised, and I believe my colleagues did as well, to fight for a more affordable Jersey City and a Jersey City that puts the people first. And so we need to hear your input this evening. That will inform us so that we can develop better policy and take actions to fight for you, the people of Jersey City. So I won't belabor the point. Let's begin this session so that we can learn from you and be able to figure out solutions to the affordability crisis here in Jersey City.
Yeah, so with that being said, we do have a list of speakers who signed up. If there is anyone who didn't sign up today, you will be able to speak once the individuals who registered to speak are done. Subsequently, we also have a meeting on August 12th at 4 Jackson Square.
Sorry, August 10th.
Excuse me, August 10th at 39 Kearney, also known as 4 Jackson Square. Just trying to give as many people opportunity as possible. So with that being said, I think, ladies, we can start calling public testimony.
First up, we have Jabril Abdur Rashid.
Real? No.
Next on the list, we have Mario Valentino Ballman. Steve Lipsky.
Not here. Oh, Steve's right there. Oh, excuse me, I didn't even see.
Good evening. So I come because lived here all my life, and two reasons I'm coming is that, one, I'm encouraged by your dialogue and your promise and commitment to this issue, and secondly, because of the frequency in which I'm hearing about some of the challenges from our residents. So, and let me also just congratulate you, Councilman Gilmore, because even if I wanted to forget about a city event, your emails are so chock full of information and frequent that your communication is above and beyond. So thank you. And Erica too. So that being said, I'm just going to go through, I'm not here to rag on anything. So I just want to present three situations that I think highlight some of my experiences as a resident and a deacon in the Journal Square Heights section of Jersey City, and then offer some possible solutions. So back on February 12th, I sent each and every member of the council an email. I forwarded you an email from one of my parishioners at St. Nicholas Church. And in that email, there were 14 agencies that this particular parishioner reached out to try to get help for his mother, who's in our parish choir, a senior citizen. So the only person who really got back to her was Frank Mazur at the county and explained to her that he could do nothing until she was evicted. Well, that reality came due when she went to court earlier this month, and she's set to leave by the end of August. But thank God she found an apartment with the help of Frank Mazza on Delaware Avenue. She's moving out of Ward D, sorry, Councilman, to Joe Brooks's ward. But I bring this up because in that email, there were 14 agencies he reached out to. And so my humble suggestion is I know there's a lot of talk about auditing finances and agencies within the municipality. I think it would behoove your group, this great committee, to look at some of these entities that are saying that they can help and see if they're, how it might be overlapping. Because this guy told me, he said, Steve, my mom reached out to all these places and she kept saying, they kept at least half dozen of them said, call that one, call that one. So it became circular, it became frustrating, and many of these agencies don't answer and or have no solution for them. So that's one. Second one is last year I represented 20 of my neighbors from the St. John's complex up in Journal Square. These were people who lived in that complex anywhere from 50 some odd years to 30. People who were in their, I think as young as 50, but upward of 95. A woman who has a picture on her wall from then President Dwight D. Eisenhower with a letter prior to women's rights and so forth from President Eisenhower recognizing her as a model citizen. So the owner of these buildings departed the earth, died 3 years ago, and his two daughters took it over and formed a corporation and sought hardship status to get remunerated, which the former owner, who was loaded, didn't go after. So why do I bring this up? Is because in trying to help them, I'm not a land use attorney. I reached out through Google to at least a dozen Hudson County attorneys who do this type of thing and could not find one. I've gone to some of their offices and they'd say, it's not worth it for us to get involved. Boom. I reached out to the Waterfront Project. All they did was give us a patent answer about what Chapter 260 says, and it was good. I mean, it was a reinforcement of what I understood. So last year we went before the board and got a de minimis increase of about $200. And, but anyway, after that, there have been some, the long story short, that increase was predicated on, it was a temporary increase that was predicated on the owner or this new corporation remediating things that were documented by the city, which they never did. So, but this was heard in May of this year. Unfortunately, there's a situation behind that, but I won't go into. But long story short is I had to go into my own pocket and I begged the local attorney, Roberta Tarkin, to take this on. I drafted the response and now we're in Superior Court to see if we can get this back on to the Rent Leveling Board to have that vetted. So why do I say this? Is because I think the right to counsel, and I've listened to Councilman Jake's emails, I mean, not emails, his YouTube videos and his passion behind right.
5 seconds.
I think that definitely has a lot to say. Here's my last scenario. Another woman in my parish, she's a grandmother. She's an usher in my church. She came to me 4 months ago crying that she had to get out. She was being evicted. And long story short is she has a daughter that lives with her and 5 grandchildren, one who is severely disabled and has a bed that is mechanized, and she couldn't afford a mover. So I got 2 friends of mine to go and move her. They went up there, they moved her, and they took her to her new place. After which they reported, say, Steve, I love you. Don't ever ask me to do this again. This woman's apartment was despicable, meaning is she had cockroaches.
We have to ask you to wrap in 10 seconds.
Here we go. Long story short is landlords, you know, also have some things that they have to do, but or should be afforded where they could get assistance. Here's my suggestions. Recently, I went down to 3 Jackson Square at the Rent Leveling Board, and that doesn't look, that's not an inviting place. Number one, you go in, it looks like an intake center for a correction facility. Number 2, it's old school. They get a pad they tell you to fill out. My suggestion is automate it with chat bots so that people could go in and then it will generate a record as well. And then lastly, I watched the hearing of the Health and Human Services that you engaged in. I think creating a quality of life task force that includes Health and Human Services, landlord-tenant division, code enforcement, and the municipal prosecutor to synergize those energies to help people. And thank you so much for listening to everybody and for this committee. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Lipsky. If you'd like to deliver your written comment as well, or email us a written comment so we have your full speech.
Yeah, thank you so much. Real quickly, I was trying to jot down quickly the 4 agencies that you think need to be on the Quality of Life Task Force that you just read at the very end.
HHS, landlord-tenant, code enforcement, municipal prosecutor. I'll give you just 20 seconds. So the landlord-tenant was supposed to come back to check the violations that were in these 20 apartments. They never went back. One of the tenants called code enforcement. They came, but the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. And so, so these people are still living in apartments that need remediation, and yet are also being asked to pay, fork up additional money. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we have a 5-minute limit today, but we'll afford you that 30-second grace period if need be, standardized by our first speaker. Next on the list is Juliana Matwio. Next is Nelson Rivera. Number 6, Wendy Paul. Number 7, Daniel Feldman.
Good evening. As I think you all know, my name is Dan Feldman. I'm at 155 Washington Street. So the clerk's minutes record me at 48 council meetings, having been at since March 23rd, 2023. And I have 24 separate emails to named city officials. And I'll go through some specific examples, but my main concern is that there's been a pattern under both administrations where this council will pass an ordinance, and yet kind of everything stops there. There's no real enforcement, and my landlord continues to do what it does despite those ordinances. So one example, in 2007, this council adopted Ordinance 07153. That easement was recorded with the Hudson County Register on September 26, 2007. Now, Section 7E of that ordinance states that the vehicular lane on Washington Street leading up to the leading up to the Korean War Memorial, quote, shall be closed and changed between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. each day, end quote. It has not been closed and chained, and most nights it is open. I have had a lot of emails back and forth with various members of this administration about this. On March 9th, 2026, a member of the Solomon administration wrote back to me and said that, quote, the ordinance itself does not state an enforcement mechanism, end quote, which kind of had me confused. As of my June 23rd, 2026 email to the mayor, that lane remains unlocked every night after night. In fact, I checked last night, it was unlocked. I submitted a See-Click-Fix ticket. Saturday night, it was unlocked. One of my fellow tenants submitted a See-Click-Fix ticket, all with photo evidence. Friday night, same thing. Pretty much every night. So we have an ordinance. It says, actually, my landlord's security is supposed to close that gate, but this is still happening, right? Other examples of ordinances, Ordinance 24-055 adopted unanimously September 24th, 2025. Ordinance 25099 adopted unanimously October 2025. The previous council adopted an ordinance requiring mandatory minimum fines for landlords unanimously. February 11th, Resolution 26067, creating this committee was adopted 9-0 with a report due this August 10th. So all of these ordinances are adopted unanimously. And yet, I've had to stand here after, those ordinances are adopted at various city council meetings and telling you about the conduct of my landlord that still does not change despite these ordinances. I mean, I can give you one example of where a city employee actually did something and there was some change. So about a couple of months ago, I've been submitting C-Click Fix tickets almost every night about this issue, Ordinance 07-153, regarding the Korean War Memorial. And for a while, for weeks or months, each one of those tickets were being marked as duplicates. Now, Section 1-25 of the Jersey City Code of Ordinances says that each day a violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. So each one of those days that has been open, those are separate offenses. So they were being marked as duplicates. Now, I sent a couple emails to the Resident Response Center, and to her credit, Judy Riley got back to me. She called me, very, very lovely, deeply apologetic, and they have not been marked as duplicates since. So I bring that up because people in the administration can do something and affect positive change, and that's one example of that. So the difference between whether an ordinance works or one that doesn't, it's not the text, but it's whether a person decides to act, right? Moving on to rent, on July 16th, 2024, I sent the Director of Landlord-Tenant Relations my leases, my renewal offers,
1
my
minute.
proof of payments, and I asked him, please tell me what else you need in order to issue a summons to my landlord. My building is rent controlled. It was determined rent controlled in 2023, unanimously. And I got a rent increase of over 30% in 2022, right? So I need to know, what is my legal rent, as I get increases. So I sent all of that to him and I never got an answer. That question is 2 years old and I still don't know what I should be paying for my rent. My rent has only gone up since then, and I have not received any sort of refund or anything like that. Now, if this is how it goes here, I doubt it stops here. And if it does, somebody chose that. Now, on November 14th, 2024, I offered the previous council one method. I recommended that they enforce one ordinance fully, address one violation completely, resolve one issue permanently, and then move on one after the next. So what's been going on with at least my landlord,
Extra 30 seconds.
30 seconds, did not begin with this administration, has not stopped under this one. So here's my ask. Resolve tonight that every question this committee sends the administration carries a return date of August 5th, and that any question unanswered by that date goes into the August 10th report as a finding in its own right. The question, the office it was sent to, the date it was sent, and the words no response received. That costs nothing. It can't fail. If the answers come, you have facts. They do not. You have the finding written in the city's own record rather than in mine. An ordinance nobody has ever enforced is not a law, it's a press release. And if Mayor Solomon has proven one thing, it's that press releases are not collecting fines or addressing illegal rents. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the list, Sean Payton. You have 5 minutes.
Ma'am. Good evening. I know I've been here about speaking here at the council meetings since January, about 9 times since January 25, 2023. That's not to say how many times I've actually been here in support of my fellow neighbors. The first night I told the city council my rent had gone up 23% in the short time since my first lease. I brought you a form, 1 page, 5 questions, so any tenant could learn whether their building is rent controlled. I asked you to amend Chapter 260, so the form had to be used. On February 11th, 2023, NJ.com printed what I told their reporter. The reality is my fellow tenants and I would never be in the situation we are in if Chapter 260 had been enforced all along. Tenants have been through enough. Do not leave us hanging. I would not change a word of it. On October 12th, 2023, I told you I had gone to Hoboken and watched their rent leveling board check whether the exemption paperwork was filed on time. It was not. They ruled in under a year. Under a year. Then it happened here. On October 19th, 2023, the Jersey City Rent Leveling Board voted 6-0 for the tenants. On October 25th, I stood here and thanked them. It was the best night I have had in this room. Here is what happened after, because that is how I know what my legal rent is not. My lease renewal came up right after that hearing. The owner would not give me a lease at a rent control rate. I was handed a 10% increase and 24 hours to sign it. When asked for a new lease, they said no because the board had just ruled. So I was put on a month to month and my rent was raised more than 40% above where it stood before the hearing. Month to month tenants are protected by that ordinance, the same as anyone else. I kept paying. To be safe, I voluntarily paid 10% more than my old lease. Under the board's ruling, they had no authority to raise my rent at all. I voluntarily paid a 10% increase anyway. Then eviction was filed in April 2024. I had to get ready to defend my home because I relied on a decision this city's own board had made. It was dismissed without prejudice, thankfully, on April 18th, 2024. I won, and I still have no lease and no piece of paper from anyone that says I am lawfully lawfully supposed to pay. I did what the city asked to. On June 29th, 2024, answering the director's own request, I sent him my lease and my payment record and swore to it under penalty of perjury. And I copied all 9 council members so nobody could say afterwards they did not know. 2 years on, nobody in that office has answered me. My rent was never brought down to the city's own base rent calculation. It went up instead, and no refund has arrived. Either other tenants are living the same way and nobody was counting them, or my building got treated differently. I would like to know which. Because in this time, this payment that this 40% increase that I'm paying is still accumulating in my account. And they're saying that I owe almost 6 figures to them while this is going on. So just need some help in that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Speaker number 9, Soham Chatterjee.
Good
You have 5
evening.
minutes.
My name is Soham, and I'm a Jersey City resident. I'm at 155 Washington Street as well. And I have one question tonight, and it's a small one. And I think that's the reason why it's never been answered. I've never been told which unit the superintendent of my building lives in. I have never been given a name, an address, or a phone number for the person responsible when something goes wrong at 2 in the morning. And even then, my rent keeps going up. Those two facts do not belong together. And the reason is in the city's own ordinance. Chapter 254 gives an owner 2 choices, and only 2. Either the superintendent lives on the premises, which the code requires in any building of 6 units or more, or the superintendent does not live there, and then the owner has to make that person's name, address, and phone number known to every single tenant, and register the same information with the Director of Housing Code Enforcement. Well, there's no third option. There's no version where nobody is told anything. Well, Chapter 260 goes further. The registration statement and owner files has to include the superintendent's unit number, and the ordinance says that the filing is required whether or not the building is subject to the restrictions on rent increases. The statement a tenant is owed at the start of a tenancy has to identify the superintendent too. And the code says an owner provides the statement in order to qualify for any rental increases. In September of last year, the council said the same thing again, 9 votes to nothing. An exemption reaches only the 2 provisions that limit how much rent can go up. Every other provision of Chapter 260 binds every building in the city, and the ordinance uses the words regardless of rent control status. So the disclosure is owed to me either way. Whether my building is rent controlled is an argument happening somewhere else. It has nothing to do with whether I'm entitled to know who the superintendent is. This morning, hours before this meeting, the director wrote that the filing was not completed. He wrote that a 30-day notice of violation was issued and that the deadline has lapsed without compliance. He wrote that summonses were issued in February and that more are being prepared. That is the city doing its job, and I'm really glad about it. But here is my question, and I would like that to be included in the report. If the disclosure that conditions a rent increase has not been made and the city knows it has not been made and the city has put that in writing today, then why are the increases still going through? I'm not asking the committee to decide my rent. I'm simply asking you to put that question to the law department and write down the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mark Boyles.
Hi, my name is Mark Boyles. I live at 155 Washington Street. Clerk's minutes record me at 46 council meetings since January 23. On August 2022, I emailed my petition that started, Dear Director Hendon and Landlord Tenant Team, I'm attaching a petition claiming illegal rent. 4 weeks later, I wrote again to ask, was my petition received? Bureau did assign a case number and sent it the notice to parties, that was to me and to the owner's attorneys. So the intake works. It's what comes after the intake I'm here about. I'm here about what happens after you vote as well. I asked in 22 whether my petition was received. 4 years on, the bigger question is open. Nobody will put the correct rent for my unit in writing to me. My rent was never changed to match the Bureau's figure, and I have not seen a refund. I want to know how many other buildings are exactly where mine does. And if the answer is none, why is my building the only one? Now, changing subject slightly, credit to this body, because in June 24, you passed Ordinance 24055 and settled what a uniform security guard is, so a concierge could not count as one. I thanked you for it on August 2024. Now the pattern. November 29, 23, I told you that the security exemption at my building had lapsed. It's conditioned on an annual inspection. The only inspection report on file was dated 2014. So for 9 years, there was no inspection. An exemption was sought at my building that year and denied. In October 2025, the Hudson County View printed one sentence of mine about the mandatory minimum fines. Quote, it's cheaper to ignore the law than to fix the problems. 12 days ago, the owners of another building on Warren Street asked you to excuse them from Ordinance 24055. Their case is that cameras and locks do the job, but a camera's historical can't prevent anything. Second example. Section 254-45B 28A. In any premises with 6 or more units, the superintendent shall reside on the premises. Section 254-45B 27. The owner must tell every tenant that person's name, address, and telephone number and register it with the Director of Housing. At 11:28 this morning, I got an email from the director. And Sharon Richardson answered in writing that the landlord registration filing was not completed for my building. The city issued a 30-day notice of violation, directing the landlord to give each tenant the superintendent's unit number, and that deadline, Director Richardson said, had elapsed without compliance. Summons is issued in February for failure to post the required information, and more are being prepared. I thank him for that, and I do mean it. This is the city doing its job 6 hours before this meeting. Every building of 6 units or more deserves the same disclosure. So my ask is a date. Before the meeting on August the 10th, get the date on which those additional summonses will be issued and put that date in your report. Not a phrase like soon, but a date. And if nobody in the administration will give you a date, then write in your report that the city would not say when its own prepared summonses would issue. 9 years without an inspection started out as a missing date too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, David Wilson.
Good evening. My name is David Wilson. I've lived in Jersey City since 2005. I rented at Portside Towers from 2005 through 2007, and then again from 2021 to the present. The clerk's minutes record me at 24 council meetings since March 20th, 2024. Tonight, I'd like to talk about the money that this whole city is owed. Jersey City does not have a revenue problem. Jersey City has a collection problem. I said that on July 1st of this year, my birthday. And I said it on July 16th of 2025. On May 18th, 2022, the city's rent leveling administration wrote to tenants that their building was subject to rent control and told them how to file. That was a city employee doing the job right. On August 7th, 2024, the Bureau produced base rent calculations for 523 of the 527 units. I'm not going to tell you that those figures are correct. That's the Bureau's to settle. What I will tell you is nobody ever sent them to us. This committee has been told that these offices are understaffed, and I believe that. Understaffing explains slowness. It does not explain suctivity. And I think that's what we're seeing here. On December 12th of 2024, the same Bureau issued a formal notice to parties of its determination for a different building on Sussex. So the machinery works. Somebody used it there. On July 2nd, 2024, I asked the owner's on-site managers in writing for a copy of my rent ledger. I compiled the payment records myself and I submitted everything. Then on July 8th, I emailed the director of housing, the landlord-tenant office, 9 members of the council, the mayor's office, and the city's outside counsel. My subject line was documentation of rent control violations and request for summons issuance. I attached my leases, my payment record. I swore to it under penalty of perjury. I asked the city to make sure the full extent of violations is addressed, maximizing the enforcement of the ordinance and protection of tenants' rights. The director replied on that thread on July 30, 2024. My question is not whether the city can enforce. It clearly can. My question is what it ever collects when it does. This council added mandatory minimum fines in October 2025. A penalty is a line in the city's books. Somebody assesses it and somebody either receives it or does not. The director never told me what my lawful rent is. My rent has continued to go up since. I have never received a penny in refund. So here's my ask. Before this committee files its report on August 10th, please direct the administration to produce the collection record for Chapter 260 matters. What has been assessed, what has been collected, what remains outstanding, and what has been waived or written off. Which tenants and which landlord did it communicate recalculated rents to, and what steps has it taken for any overcharges since? If the city produces that, you have your answer, and I will thank you. If it cannot, please write that in the report. Write that the city could not say what it had collected under its own ordinance. I've told you before that I want to believe, and I still do. Please give me something to believe. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next speaker, number 12, Ellen Nash. Next speaker, number 13, Jessica Braun.
Good evening, committee. Thank you, first of all, for inviting commentary from the public. I think specific cases and pieces of evidence from us are particularly useful as you complete your investigation. You probably already know my name is Jessica Brand and that I live at Portside Towers East in Ward F. Our journey began in 2022, when we realized that we were getting a 35% increase in one shot. As of today, my rent is 65% higher than it was in 2022. And it's been 3 years, 3 signings since the October 2023 hearing that established my building was subject to rent control. And those increases are meaning that at the end of the day, the rent for my unit is about 75% of my income. I don't think that any of you think that that makes sense, and it doesn't. So to give you the impression that we are hanging out here for fun, it means that buying groceries, going to see your family, etc., becomes infinitely more difficult. I'm trying not to default on my student loan. That would be a problem. Anyway, so the clerk's minutes record me at 63 different council meetings here since November 28, 2022. I'm not sure I needed to know that number, Kevin, but for most of them, I talked about my building. And tonight I really want to talk about everybody else's, because this is not solely an issue that's affecting us at Portside. We know now that this is endemic to how the city works and how people are or are not represented, and speaking on behalf of them tonight. On February 24th, 2023, the Hudson County View printed me saying this city would not enforce its own housing laws. One observation that we've spent 3.5 years testing. So if there are roughly 270,000 people in Jersey City at about 70% rent, that means it's close to 200,000 that are across 30,000 buildings. And I would have said a decade ago when I moved to Jersey City that that is a really daunting number to track. But in today's age of data science, artificial intelligence, we have the ability now to solve these problems. We are finally being handed a tool to be able to address them. We just have to take it. So here is the question I hope you think about and that I care about is when this city finds a violation, what happens next? I know how it starts. You know, inspectors come, especially if we put it in See Click Fix, they tend to pay attention. They see it. Fire crews and police officers do their part, definitely. And we know the middle part too. Some summonses may get issued. Not always, but sometimes. The city has told us this in writing. What we don't know is the end, and we have looked. On November 26, 2024, I stood here and handed this council a 130-page log of documented security ordinance violations at one property. It covered 17 months, dated and counted. I said on that night in 2024 that we should not have to wait for someone to die before there is action on violations that are already documented. It has been on record for 20 months. We report violations to the city every single day. By last November, that had run 202 consecutive days and 2,828 individual reports, with the state of New Jersey copied on every one. Not one has been cured. How is it possible that 3,000 reports have been made and not one has been cured? On July 15th this year, 12 days ago, more than 50 of my neighbors and I took part of our workday to sit on a municipal court session with 88 summonses the city itself had issued against one landlord. We stayed to the end and left without a single collection to report. That's just one afternoon and one landlord. It's a data point, not a finding. So I'm not going to tell you what the citywide number is, but I'm asking you to produce it. And I mean the whole thing, not the front. How many violations have been found? How many became summonses? How many reached a hearing? How many reached a disposition? How many were dismissed and on what basis? How many were paid? That's not new work. It's already been done. Every one of those steps already creates a record. No one has put them side by side in public. There is a version of your August 10th report that's due that says the city found violations. There's another that says what happened after. Only you can write it. One thing about my building, we sent emails, I handed up that log, and nobody has ever told me where I stand on my own rent.
20 seconds.
Nobody has said how my pay amount should be changed, and nothing has been paid back. If that's true in my building, someone should find out how many other buildings and how many other tenants it's also true for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next speaker is number 14, Shannon Ray. And while Shannon walks up, I just want to remind everyone that you can also email your comments to the Rent Protection Special Investigation Committee.
That email is rpsic@jcnj.org. Rent Protection Special Investigation Committee, rpsic@jcnj.org.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Shannon Ray. I am a nurse. I live at Portside Towers in the East Tower at 155 Washington Street. The clerk's minutes record me at 30 council meetings since January 11th, 2023. And I mentioned I'm a nurse. I come to the meetings often rushing here after a full shift. Sometimes I come in my scrubs, but it means a lot to me. It's not easy to get to city council, but it's really, really important to me. My work as a nurse is exceedingly important to me, and I have worked really hard in the last few years since moving to Jersey City to work here. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've gotten wage raises every year based on my performance and hard work. However, my rent has effectively wiped out those wages, and it's very distressing. I want to tell you about one piece of paper with a number on it, and the number is not a rent, it's a case number. On February 13th, 2023, I emailed my petition claiming illegal rent to the Director of Housing Preservation. I attached every annual landlord registration statement that my landlord had filed since 2020, each one stating that the building is subject to rent control. Then I asked for one of two things in these words. Kindly reply with A, proof of timely filing of a claim of exemption, or B, your lawful determination that my building has never been exempt from rent control. Two options. Either one would have told me where I stand. The next morning, the office replied, "Thank you for your submission. It will be reviewed and processed in the order it was received." That was prompt and courteous. 2 days later, the office gave my petition a case number, R23-005, and wrote to the landlord's attorney that, quote, determinations will be issued in connection with the petitions. Right. Determines will be issued. That was 3 years and 5 months ago. R23-005 is still the most specific thing this government has ever told me about my own rent. On March 6, 2024, I asked something that I'm still asking, and the Hudson County View printed it the next morning. My ask was, are we asking for help in the right place? Is it possible we're wrong and it's not the proper way? Is this your job? If you're not in position to help, let us know who is. On June 29th, 2024, I asked my landlord for my leases and my rent ledger. The on-site staff answered that afternoon and sent what they had, and they were decent about it. On July 23rd, less than a month later, I was told that for earlier leases and the ledger, I should reach out to their attorney. So ask the city and you're in the queue, ask the landlord and you're sent to an attorney. So this is what a tenant is told. On August 7th, 2024, I have learned the city's own bureau computed the permitted base rent for 523 of the 527 units in my building. Whether the figures are right is the bureau's to settle. The city never sent me mine. The city has an answer to the question I asked in February 2023, and I still don't. As I mentioned time and time again, I'm a nurse. A result that exists and isn't told to a patient is not a delay. It's a different kind of failure entirely. I asked for one of two things, and I got neither. I'm still paying a rent nobody has ever confirmed is legal. It was never set to what the Bureau computed, and nothing has been refunded. I cannot be the only tenant or patient in this city who was never told their result. Find out who else is waiting. My ask is small. Send it. Before August 10th, have every tenant in those two buildings sent what the Bureau computed for their rent, and send the owner the same. If it needs correcting, correct it and send the correction, but send something. Tell the tenant what the city already knows. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you so much. Just a quick clarification for folks, because I think there might be some confusion with the dates. Our committee report is due 90 days after our last committee meeting. The August 10th date is the next hearing for tenants. So it's a hearing just like this one, except it's going to be at the City Hall Annex to allow tenants from different parts of the city and with differing schedules in the summer. That's why we decided to have two. So, yeah, thank you so much.
The report, our committee's report won't be out August 10th. That being said, we can certainly make requests of the administration following this meeting and can ask for some answers to be provided to us prior to August 10th, even if we won't have a full report on the committee's findings by that time. We can still make these requests, get administration to answer, and be able to let the public know what was and what was not answered up to that point.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Question for the chair. Have we invited any landlords like Equity or any other who are in question, just so we can hear what they have to say about all of this?
At this moment, we haven't invited any landlords. I think did the prosecutor's office. Oh, but other landlords.
Well, what about other landlords that are in question?
It's open to the public. So
It's
anybody
open to the
can-
public,
Anybody to
right.
come, yes.
But I mean, like how we had the prosecutor here, like answering questions.
No, we didn't do that. We just did open public hearing. Everybody's more than willing to attend. What we do with the city offices is a little different than this one. So for the record, if landlords out there and they want to come, they can try to get here on time, or they can also have public testimony on August 10th at 39 Jackson.
But
Kearney.
I think the question is, why don't we ask for landlords to appear before us so that we can question them? And, you know, I think one landlord that had been brought up, has refused to do so because of ongoing litigation. And we can certainly invite other landlords, but I personally strongly suspect that their lawyers will tell them not to come. But we can try. And I also, I don't know, Corporation Counsel is not here, but I know we are able to this committee is able to issue subpoenas, but I don't know if that's only for people who formerly worked for the city or if it's to anyone. I don't recall.
Yes, I think
Details.
subpoena power refers to anyone within the state.
Okay, so we could hypothetically subpoena a landlord.
And I would say before that, I would like to invite landlords out there who think all of these people are wrong because they're the ones that are showing up and explaining to us what's happening. So if you would like to do that before we use our subpoena power, we're here at City Hall.
Yeah, and just on that note, I think what we hear very clearly is that rent protections, there's a failure of enforcement on rent protections for tenants in Jersey City. You're not hearing that landlords are inadequately protected by landlord tenant office. So at least I have not heard that from landlords in Ward D or anything. So I think our focus rightfully is on hearing from tenants members of the public, regardless landlord or tenant, are welcome to speak here, but I think it is really important that we hear tenant stories and have that inform how we want to make sure to fix our city administration and do better for the vast majority of Jersey City who are renters.
Next speaker, number 15, Kevin Weller.
Good evening. Forgot my I'm not a lawyer plaque, but as of today, I'm still not a lawyer.
Are you an attorney today?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not today. But watch for the day this shirt changes some words. And we'll see what happens. My name is Kevin Weller, live at 155 Washington Street in Ward F. I'm the president of the Portside Towers East Tenant Association. I've never been told what my legal rent is, not by the city, not by my landlord. Neither has anyone else in either Portside building. You understand the city produced a calculation on August 7th, 2024, but never sent it to the tenants or to the owner as an order. Not that we've seen anyway. So everyone is in limbo. And the city is the only party that can end it. It's almost confusing why they wouldn't. I recall conversations with the director where I said something similar to get this off your plate. Put out the order. Then it's the landlord's fault. Then the tenants can self-correct with 30 days, right? 30 days from an order of the city as to the legal rent, and tenants can withhold their rent. So instead, the city withheld that information so that the tenants' 30 days clock never started to tick. Why? Why not just put out the rent and let tenants withhold? Because then the city could say, we issued the order, withhold your rent. We can't tell you to withhold your rent, but the ordinance allows for it. Instead, the city doesn't tell us. No single tenant at Portside Towers has been told, even after we've emailed the city. Even after we've emailed the city with a copy of our lease and our ledger and a sworn statement saying that we swear that we're providing the information, even though the city can get the same information from our landlord at any point in time. Today's an interesting day, July 27th, 26th. July 27th, 2022 is when I filed my petition claiming illegal rent. 4 years ago, on behalf of every tenant in both towers. Our rents have only gone up ever since. Within a very short period of time after I filed my petition, our rent was increased by over $1,500 per month. Just to kick things off. It's disturbing. According to all of the minutes that we downloaded, it appears that I've come before this council 66 times. It's probably more than that. It's hard to count. Got to be closer to 80. First one was November 9th, 2022. Nothing has changed since. On May 18th, 2022, the rent leveling administrator wrote to the tenants, more than one. The West Tower, according to her records in the office at the time, was subject to rent control, and she told us to file our petition. 4 years. Long time. Pretty persistent. I feel bad for all the other tenants that aren't willing to put this time forward. We can't break through. We can't have the law apply to us. It's really hopeless, I think, for everyone else. Up until now, I mean, I think you guys are going to solve this. I really do. I mean, I know most of you long enough to know that I trust you and I believe that you guys can figure this out. On November 3rd, the chair signed a determination instructing the Bureau to adjust the rents in each building going back 6 years. On March 19, 2024, the director wrote to the owner's council that the years the rent rolls were not filed, the Bureau does not recognize increases imposed or collected from the tenants. That was good. In June 2024, he asked each tenant for these documents. We sent them, our leases, all of them, and our rent ledgers. These 63 of us did. Then we gave him some breathing room to see if he would reply to any of them or let us know what the legal rent was or adjust a single rent or order a refund. He does the summonses, but the sentence in the ordinance that talks about summonses, it's a list of 3 things. Just rents is the first, order rebates is the second, and then take legal action is the third. For some reason, Director Richardson only does the third. He hasn't ordered a rebate or adjusted the rents by communicating them to anybody. That would be really helpful. No stay on that. I'm hoping you guys will have questions. No, when this was set up, we would have about 5 minutes, and I think it was Councilperson Efros that said then hopefully they would also have 5 minutes to ask questions so that there'd be, 10 minutes on the back and forth. And we are prepared and we will be sending some additional information by email. But here are a few questions. One, that you can put in your report or that you can pose to city officials. Has any order been issued by any court that says that you cannot enforce the legal rent for any tenant? I'm not aware of any. I heard in this room that an order would be asked for. Mayor Solomon told me he was not aware of any order preventing the city from enforcing its own laws, and that he seemed to have an interest in finding out if there was such an order, and if there was not, I'm not sure what's in the way of the city enforcing their laws, especially the laws that have nothing to do with rent control. Has any rebate been ordered under the chapter here, under 260? Yes or no? Was any written instruments written or any order or anything to prevent the Bureau from following through on what the Rent Leveling Board ordered? You said time or 30 seconds?
I'm giving you an additional 30 seconds as I did Mr. Lipsky.
Oh, I appreciate that. I have less than that left anyway. Produce the record of 260 summonses. Of 5, why did a determination issue for other buildings, like in December of 2024, and not for us? Other tenants have been told what their legal rent is. For some reason, ours is escaping the city's focus. My case number was R22044, and I've written the director many times. In none of his replies did it include what my legal rent is, or an order to my landlord for a rebate, or for an adjustment to my rent.
Time.
Thank you. And if you guys have questions, I hope you do. Buddy? If you want, I mean, it's up to you guys. I mean, the way you set this up, you said public can speak for 5 minutes, and then you guys would have 5 minutes for questions. I mean, it's up to you guys. I hope you have questions.
And my question is more for Corporation Counsel, who's not here right now, and it would be how can we make sure that the city is sending out the legal rents as they should be? They should be disclosing, and I don't know how. I know our role is strictly legislative, and we have to be very careful not to step beyond that, but how can we make this happen is my question. And yeah.
Appreciate the question. I hope somebody answers it for you.
Thank you.
City. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, a lot of my questions that I'm writing down are for administration. But I want clarity from Kevin, yourself, and any other portside tenant. Again, I'm just trying to be careful because our role, we cannot litigate any case. Also, as Councilwoman Little just said, we're the legislative side. We cannot directly ourselves enforce. But were you told by the city, were you or any other portside tenant told by the city that there was an order issued preventing us from being able to send you the Bureau's finding on what your rent should be? Any order issued preventing there being a refund or rebate to that effect? Were you communicated with in any way that made it seem like the city's determination was that there was a stay on what we could provide.
Only thing that I know of related to a stay is related to the security matter, and it was a stay on summonses related to ordinance 218 until that litigation finishes. But even in that case, the fines would still toll, but they had to be held in reserve, and no new summonses could be issued related to security.
Right.
And as Feldman brings up many meetings, there's separate obligations outside of that that the city
Right.
could bring forward. As far as on the side of the rent control issue, there is no order that I'm aware of, and there is no stay from any court preventing this city from enforcing its laws. And I know that I recall Corporation Counsel Levine mentioning that the mayor had mentioned to her, and she said this in this room, that she should write a letter to the judge and say, hey, new administration is here. We're not aware of any order preventing us. If there is one, kindly let us know. And if there's not, let us know. That was 105 days ago to this day. I'm not aware if that communication ever happened or not, but I do track in Pacer every single order that comes through, and I have not seen any order that says the city cannot enforce their laws. So as far as I know, there's nothing in the way of it, especially all of the issues that are not related to any litigation. And Corporation Counsel Levine mentioned, I think it was 3 council meetings ago, that the issues related to the superintendent are not subject to any litigation. And the ordinance has a section 263J that requires that information to be provided, whether a building is subject to rent control or not, or no increases can happen. So it would seem that there are things the city could do even during litigation. It would seem.
Right. So when you and other Portside tenants have reached out to the city requesting, what is my rent? Is the answer you receive just a non-answer? Is it being ignored? Or is it demurring in some other way? If they're not saying, oh, we can't because there's this stay or there's an injunction or whatever else it might be, what is the response that you've gotten or non-response that you've gotten?
I would say I have never seen any response that included a legal rent. In my conversations with the director, it seemed that the logical, I don't have all of the tenants' email addresses. The city doesn't have all the tenants' email addresses. The landlord does. So it would seem that the city would instruct the landlord to email all the tenants, here's your number. Because in the September 2022 determination, within a day or two of that determination, our landlord sent emails to all the tenants. They were happy about that news. The city found that we have exemptions for the maximum amount of time. That email went out in 2 seconds, right? But after the unanimous board determination, which is the binding determination, the landlord did not send out any such emails. And the city, as far as I know, hasn't asked the landlord for all of the leases. The board ordered the bureau to recalculate the rents, adjust rentals, order rebates, all the things the ordinance says. And yet, to my knowledge, the city right now, as we stand here, does not have any leases for any tenants for the year 2025. As far as I know, they don't, or 2026. So it would be really hard for the city to ask to implement anything when they don't even have the records from the landlord. It shouldn't be put on the tenants to do for the bureau what the board ordered the bureau to do. And all the other municipalities in New Jersey, we've read many of them, board orders. The bureau says, hey, landlord, turn over your leases. And then the bureau says, hey, landlord, here's the new rent.
Right.
That's not happening here.
Yeah, I guess I'm really just trying to get a sense of like, this is all very helpful, like what in the past has been communicated to you all. And just for the public, there's a new director of landlord tenant coming in. And with a new director coming in, I think this is like, it's been good timing for 4 years to get you all answers, but this is still good timing to be able to like take these questions and say, here's the history of what has been said to this group of tenants, and what has and has not been answered to these tenants' questions, and then be able to just try and get some more. So I appreciate this. This is helpful. And I mean, we still have a long way to go.
Did you say there's a new director? Did I hear you right?
There's
Yes.
there's a new director.
Yeah,
And now,
Well, no.
may we know who that person is?
hasn't started yet.
Yes, so there's going to be a new director. The prior director have already been transferred, right? I think the person that's reflective on the org chart today I don't think,
Acting?
yes, it's act. I
So
don't
it's acting.
think,
Is it-
yes, I don't think that they're
All right.
actually there. But for all intents and purposes, there's going to be a new director.
Okay.
But I will say this, the thing that has been the most perplexing for me during this whole ordeal, even if there is litigation going on, my position is this. We've already made a determination that these buildings are subject to rent control, right? So we know whatever rate they're being charged now is an illegal rate because the establishment think that they're not part of rent control. The thing that's really confusing to me is that I don't know how they come up with the rate, but the rate has to be recalculated. And then when whatever happens in court, you can either, if the court determines that it isn't, then they can go, well, when they say it isn't, we know what they're being charged now. So that's the easy part. But if they say that it is, and they're already overpaid, and they're overpaying, then you would think they were due, they would be due for refunds. But again, the biggest confusing part to me is that if the rent leveling board deemed these buildings to be rent control, we know that a recalculation should take place. Now, let's say they do the rent calculation and the landlord still say, well, we don't agree with you. All right, fine. You don't agree with us on anything anyway. So fine, you cannot agree and you can do whatever you need to do as it relates to avenues of going to court or whatever it is. But I'm just confused as to why aren't we calculating whatever the rate we deem it should be from a rent control perspective? Because for me, the real damage is done in a sense that, you know, you go to court and they say, you know what, these are rent control and all these people are due refunds. But what happened to the people who couldn't make it? That's where the real harm lies at. The people who couldn't make these these illegal rent increases, you know, the people, families who have been broken apart because of this. So I know I've personally been searching for that answer. How do we calculate that rent right there? Because we've already made the determination. We're not confused as to if it is or it isn't, at least from a rent leveling board perspective, because they made the decision, right? There's already a mechanism for us. And again, if any entity disagree, there's ways and avenues you can go to, you know, go against whatever that decision is. So there's going to be a new director here. I don't know how quick they get up to speed,
We're happy to help.
or whatever, but I just know that, you know, something has to be done. And part of me, like, I take off my political hat sometimes and I just be like, man, this is all stupid. Like, why we can't just enforce what the rule is, right? That's the part that enrages me, is like, a rule is a rule. Just enforce the doggone rule, you know? But, you know, and then the part that really frustrates me with government is everything move at sort of speed. And it's like, oh, well, you know, this is in litigation. I'm right, fine, that's in litigation, but this is not in litigation. And, you know, everybody is cautious and these people have the best attorneys and all, but I don't know. Like I said, the regular citizen in me is just like, enforce the rule. It's as simple as that. But all things considered, we have to continue to do the work of the people in the city. And we're taking these testimonies. I'm thankful these testimonies are public information. They're recorded. Everyone have the opportunity to come here. Because these are real concerns. These are real people coming up here and kudos to y'all. I'm a council person. I get paid. I don't want to come to every meeting, you know? And people are coming out because they're like, this is an injustice here. This is not right. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to fight with every breath to try to ensure that we make sure, you know, justice is served. We make sure that we get it right. But that being said, I don't like, I just can't give a time frame because a lot of this stuff, it's out of the jurisdiction of the council, right? I wish I could take on the authoritative hat and be like, listen, this is what the rate is. Just talk, whatever the court figure it out, they'll figure it out. But the reality is there's checks and balances and, you know, we can request of all departments, department heads to do certain things. We can't demand. We can make strong recommendations. So we're going to continue to embark on this journey. And a wise guy once told me when there's complete darkness, at some point there's going to be light. I don't know what that time is, but I'm of the opinion that at some point we're going to get light.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Motion.
Gadsden.
Sorry, I gave you 5 minutes. I did. Only because we have a handful of speakers left. And by that, I mean 5 speakers left. So if you did not sign up to speak, you can get in line after the last listed speaker. And for the record, I need to say that Councilman Michael Griffin is present at 5:44. So we had 5 total council people present at 5:44 p.m. Next on the list is number 16, Barbara Goldberg.
I have a question for you. First, I just want to make sure so I don't forget. Can the non-registered speakers speak after him? Okay, great. My name is Barbara Goldberg. I live at Portside Towers in Ward F. I moved in 2022. The clerk's minutes record me at 33 council meetings since February 23rd, 2023. I had to listen to this voice 33 times. I registered one topic with this committee, Ordinance 260. On that first night, I said one thing. Then I said it twice because I have this voice. Enforce the laws of Jersey City. That includes Ordinance 260. No filing, no exemption. Here's what Section 269 says. The Bureau of Rent Leveling is empowered to remedy violations of Chapter 260 by adjusting rentals, ordering rebates, bringing appropriate legal charges. 3 tools, not one, 3. That sentence is quote inside the written determination of your Rent Leveling Board Chair, signed on November 3rd, 2023, after the board voted 6-0. On June 28th, 2024, I put the whole chapter in front of the director in writing, sworn under penalty of perjury, copied to all 9 of the council members at that time, and the mayor's office, with my leases and my rent ledger attached, exactly as I was told. I opened it this way, quote, I am writing in response to your request for. Further down, quote, the Bureau has the authority and responsibility to investigate and act upon apparent violations without requiring individual tenants to file separate complaints, unquote. Nobody has to build that record now. It is in the director's inbox. On August 7th, 2024, the Bureau came up with its own base rent calculations for both towers for 523 of the 527 units. So here's my question. Of those 3 tools, which one has been used? Only the third. Legal charges only the third. The first two are rental adjusting and ordering rebates. Those first two would actually reach a tenant, but only the third tool has been used. 2 years and 1 month on from that sworn email, nobody has told me what my rent is supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Number 17, Brenda Albright.
But F, I'm a tenant, speaking for a couple of tenants. They're scared to come here, so.
Just make sure the microphone is directly in front of you.
Good. So I have like seven, not many, just 7. I'm gonna read them off real quick. I have 7 key points. That's it. A lease agreement. We don't have a lease agreement. Our owner keep telling us we have a lease. We don't have a lease. I've been living there 22 years. Haven't had a lease since 20 because they took over. They've been there 2 years. We need a lease. It's people that were trying to get help from Paco, other places. He don't want to give them a lease. I think that's very unfair, because everybody need help. And the parking lot facility, tenants are getting tickets when we have a parking lot that came with the apartment. He said he don't have insurance, which I know he has insurance, because if you own the property, that came with it. So that's 2 issues. We don't have no emergency contact information for no owner or no appointed housing representative regarding apartment repairs. We don't have no numbers. We call him, he don't answer. We text him, he don't answer. We pay, it's a couple of us, I think it's only like maybe 10 of us left that pays regular rent. He don't answer us. He answer the ones that has Section 8 first. They can get whatever they want. I guess we don't pay enough money, but I think that's very unfair. And the official timeline for addressing and resolving filed apartment issues and repairs, he needs to give us numbers because the alarms be going off. I had carbon monoxide leaks, thanks to Mr. Gilmore. I had to reach out to him. I shouldn't have to do that. It should be fair. What's good for one is good for all. I pay my rent on time. Everybody else do too. And number 5, we have a notice requirement for scheduled repairs. None of that. Carbon monoxide fire detectors. Yesterday, I had to call people to come look at my neighbor. Her fire alarm, it's old. We had to take it down, look inside, 2018, 2015. It's a limit on how long those supposed to stay up. The schedule and frequent full premises extermination. I haven't seen an exterminator since I've been there. And when I say my house is upstairs is roast infested, I need an exterminator too. They do too. Not only me, the tenants. It should be where somebody should come out and do it twice a year, something. No respond. They want to get the little gel and put it. That don't work all the time. We need both inside apartments and outside because it done got bad where they coming outside. So I'm here just to speak, to try to find out where do we go from here because the owners are not responding. And I came on behalf of a couple of tenants that didn't want to come because of retaliation. So thank you very much. I'm glad I spoke on their behalf. I got 2 of them out, but the rest of them, they didn't want to show their face.
Ms.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Albright, is it possible you could share the address with the council?
My address or
Yes.
the addresses of the complainants?
She talking about Ocean Bayview.
Ocean and Bayview.
Oh.
New community, well, it used to be New Community,
Okay.
but they, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. But yeah, that's what's going on there. And it's very unfair. It's like he sent bogus, like bogus, and like for us to leave. We either sitting on a porch having too many companies or, you know, we outside the gate with a prom. Yes, I did a send-off prom for my granddaughter. He had an issue with that, which I never got a summons. The cops was there watching it. Like, that's what we do. They owned by Jews, which I have no problem with them. But at the end of the day, he picking little things to move us out, the ones that pay regular rent.
30
I
seconds.
pay 500, I don't pay 6. I pay, you know, a decent amount, but I don't pay what Section 8 pay, you know. But I seen it myself, and me being in Ward F, they can go to each store and ask them. They fix Section 8 stuff like this, because if they don't, they won't get their voucher paid. And I think it's very unfair.
Have you already been in touch with landlord tenant office?
Yes, I done been in
And
touch
have-
with the owner.
Yeah.
I done we've been putting emails, I done sent some texts. They done sent, you know, spoke on it. He will not answer nothing.
What about the city's landlord tenant office? Have they not been responsive to any of the issues that you've raised? This is the first time I'm learning about this case. I don't know if you all have had more experience with it.
Well, I talked to Ward F Council.
Okay.
I talked to Ward F Council. And I sent some texts, but I used to be his secretary. When he first took over, I went and got everybody address, emails. I clean up in front of the yards. I clean up. He don't send nobody to clean. He don't send nobody to do nothing. I do all that. When neighbors have a problem, they come to me. If I can't do nothing about it, I'll go to him, or, you know, I'll text him an email, which is unfair. He got jobs to do besides worrying about us as far as what we pay rent. When we pay rent, we should get better assistance. We human too. We just want to live. You know, rent is high now, $2,600. I can't pay $600, but I pay enough. You know, and I think what he's doing is very unfair as a owner of that property.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a whole lot of issues. If you imply that this person, the owner, was like threatening with kicking you out, is that correct?
Yes, not only me.
Okay.
Not
Yeah, I
only
mean,
me, it's a couple of us. But my thing is, you have no grounds. My rent is paid on time. He didn't
Right.
have that. He had illegal, he heard I had 5 people living with me. I moved there 22 years ago, right? My baby son is 35. So that tells you he was about 12 years old, right? But then he writes on the envelope, and Walik Albright is getting mail there, or boxes there. That's my baby son.
Yeah.
The last lease I had, my son was on it from New Community. This is where he keep throwing up. The lease, the lease. That's a lease from a different company, not you.
Yeah.
We asking for a lease. So if you feel as though we all doing something wrong, which we not, give us a lease. Y'all just bought the property a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in January. Give us a lease. He don't want to do that. Then my thing is, he don't fix nothing, because we pay people to fix our stuff. So you can't go 3% up on us unless you fixing up the property.
I'm happy to be supportive in filing a petition with landlord tenant office and everything, but I'm sure your Councilman Gilmore and Erica, if you already been supportive with this case, I'm happy to help wherever I can, but I
Yes,
I have
and he
full
helped
faith
me
in
out
Board F
a
Council
lot.
office to-
If it wasn't for our councilman,
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of people would have ran scared. You know, but I appreciate him a lot. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
I just want to thank you for your courage. It sounds like
Yeah, it's an issue. It's a big issue over there.
I just want to say that any threat of retaliation to tenants exercising their
And I
rights-
even texted him and told him to stop harassing me. Stop harassing them. He harassed them so bad to where they run scared. So therefore, now he offering them 8,000, 9,000 to move. You need more than that to move in, because they want like $2,400 rent, security, all of that. That's not fair. He just ran somebody off scared, and they moved into a $2,400 apartment where they was only paying $800 because of the threat.
So all right, are you saying that this landlord is trying to buy tenants out?
Yes, that's what he's doing. He's basically scamming them so he can take I live in the 3-bedroom. She live in the 3-bedroom. A couple of the ones that he trying to take the apartments, we live in the 3-bedroom. So when you move, he do it to a 4-bedroom. You see what I'm saying? And he charged them more rent. So basically, he told me himself, because I used to, work for him. He told me himself he's not making a lot of money. But it's not about what you make, it's what you pay for it. And then my thing is, everybody there, they pay with what they started with, new community. You never went up on the rent, you never gave us a lease. You can go up if you give us a lease then. But instead, you threatening us. And to be honest, and I'm not being biased, they all black. It's 2 on the other end, and it's 3 or 4 on our end. We pay regular rent, $1,100, $1,200. That's not enough for him. So if he take my apartment, he'll make it a 4-bedroom. He'll go up on the rent, which I know in the books is registered as a 3-bedroom, but you charging as a 4-bedroom. You never got it inspected. You never had nobody come out and inspect those apartments. So this is what he's doing. He's pushing us, putting forth stuff on there. I've been there 22 years, never had a problem with new community, no rent, no loud noise. I work for the city. I barely be home because I got to take care of my dad. He got pancreatic cancer. I come home when I'm tired. Yes, I sit on my porch in a chair. What's wrong with that? I don't get high. I don't do drugs. I don't gangbang. None of them that he's harassing. You can't even talk to people outside the gate. She was talking to somebody outside the gate. He accused her of them being out in front of her house. You moved there, these same people that was standing there. What make you think they're gonna move? They've been there before you bought the property. And then you wanna threaten her life. You want her to go out there and say something to them for them to mess around and jump on her and retaliate on her. That's not cool. So yeah, it's a lot going on. It's really a lot, and they scared, but I'm not scared. I'm gonna speak because there's nothing that I did wrong. I will fight to the end because I'm not gonna move. I will fight to the end to keep my apartment. If you want money or how y'all doing it, then you have to get more property. Don't push people out that been there.
Just one thing you mentioned, you said that, unless I misunderstood, you said that the landlord was specifically targeting tenants who are Black and who.
Yes, single parents. Yes.
Yeah, it is, that's, I know we have a legislative role and we can't direct departments to do something, but that sounds like a pretty serious discrimination.
Yes, it is.
Violation. And that sounds like it is most likely illegal, but
he was targeting her. I had to ask him to stop targeting her because she got 2 adopted kids that she adopted since they was like this. Why are you harassing her? They come there 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, sending letters by people that he done paid cheap money to bring you papers and stuff. If you got it certified, let the mail come. Why you got people ringing people bell at 8, 9 o'clock? Some people don't open their door. Some people don't open their door because they're not used to opening their door that time of night. I walked out my door. He had somebody who used to work for New Community to give me an envelope. And this was 7:30 at night. I even got in touch with my councilman. Like, what is going on? What he's doing wrong. And the only thing I'm asking for it to be solved and for him to be stopped. Because if not, he gonna keep doing it, keep doing it. It's gonna get worse. But I appreciate y'all listening. But I'm not scared. I'ma speak.
Thank you so much. Would you be able to document those, the harassment and?
I have everything in my phone.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so just to give everyone the backstory, so these are the New Community Homes. New Community was a nonprofit organization that's primary goal was making housing affordable. And they have about, there's probably like 40, 50 of these houses that's connected. We used to call them the new houses, but it's been some time now. So initially about 3 years ago, they wanted to liquidate the property. They owed the city like, I think almost $1 million. Subsequently, they were selling them for, I think, it was very cheap. So at that point, last administration, I was actually urging to purchase them. One, because there was a dire need for affordability, and two, because they were selling them so cheap, and they already had owed us almost $1 million. So for us to embark on that journey, it would have been essentially nothing. So an individual came in, they purchased the properties. In fact, they were like at the back end of the affordability period. And they was like, well, we're going to keep it affordable, but we just want the transition to be smooth. And I was saying, absolutely not. If you want to purchase them, you purchase them after the affordability period is over. We're not going to trust that you're going to keep them affordable. And that's part of the problem that I was trying to explain to them when they was purchasing it. Because I just know what the climate is in development right now. They're looking at something at a very reasonable price. And in their mind is, all right, we can, get as many people out as possible, rehab the apartments. And they even said like they were making illegal fours or whatever, get these people out and rent them out, because everyone there was paying rents of $1,100, $1,200, $1,300. And that's the reason why he was able to purchase them so low as well. So that therein lies the problem that we have when we have these affordable units being sold to individuals who's not in the affordability arena. These are people who's looking at bottom line economics. How much money can they make off said establishment? And I will say this, the only thing to this landlord's credit is whenever I reach out, he would rectify the problem. But the bigger issue is you shouldn't have to call your council person for someone to fix a carbon monoxide. You shouldn't have to call because your ceiling has fallen in. And the crazy thing, I went there, I think 2 weeks ago, and the gentleman was he was like, I'm going to tell you what happened, but I didn't tell you this. Like, that's how severely scared some of these residents are, because they know they're going to be retaliated against. And like I said, this is why this committee is so important, for these testimonials, and for us to put an end to this type of nonsense that's going on in our city.
Thank you, Councilman. Number 18, Adam Lemoyne. Number 19, Sylvia Hello. Or hello.
Well, my name is Silvia Lu. I am a Portside Tower tenant since 2017. And I don't know what is my legal rent. Every year since the pandemic, we can say, or the change of the administration of a building, every year has been a nightmare and a stressful period with my renewal. I don't know with what they can come in. I don't know exactly how to negotiate it. In fact, most of the year is acceptance on my side. painful acceptance because it's going up. And on the other side, the lack of maintenance, the lack of information that we are dealing is impressive. I have 2 weeks ago and scattered, I wasn't in my apartment. When I get back, all the window was scattered and I called the maintenance. We was changing from call center in Philippines. Now we have IA that answer, and the IA, yes, is urgent, send it to the doorman and always doesn't care. The doorman cannot fix anything. The person who has been introduced as the head of maintenance always deny, or when I ask where he lives, where I can find him, the answer is my personal information I will not share. And I insisted, according to 260, Ordinance 260, you need to share. I will not share personal information. And also the first, when he saw the window totally broken, and I don't know if you will be charged for that. I say, well, you can charge, but I have proof that I wasn't here, and I was already doing a lot of research, because also I am a scientific research person, and this can be cause for the change of the temperatures, and we was in a times with the temperature was up and down. That is something that I want to mention to you again. The only that I feel it in the last 5 years, I was part of the people that come in and talk. I think probably you are tired of seeing my face, but even Kevin is worse. But my main issue is, the only that I feel it is, since I moved here, the problem is my rates go up, my maintenance go down. The building is really scary. The other day I went the storm, raining, and I went out of the garage, and was the water from the bottom, raining from the top. The garage is always floating with the problem. And when you ask for, the garage is already outsourced, and the person who is, no, but the maintenance is a responsibility of the building. Why I am paying you? That is absolutely no transparency, no lack of maintenance. I think we need to really seriously thinking, because I don't know if it is, I can call retaliation from part of the administration with the lack of maintenance, or really we are at risk. I thinking you has one of the beautiful power that is send inspectors. I cannot do it, but I will love that the city send inspections from a routinary, and check and check and check, and you will see that. And also I want to say to you, use us. We are your eyes. We are your eyes when you cannot see. And if we are telling all of this, the most important is you send someone to confirm we are not lying here. We are trying to, first, the money that we earn and put it for rentals is not going up anymore. Second, the place where I live, I minimum maintenance, and I am not a person to complain. I clean my house. I have very clean my house, but we are still having rodents. We are still having cockroach. And I say, okay, not in my floor. I am happy, but I clean. But that is no pest control, pest nothing.
30 seconds.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And our last speaker who has signed up to speak, but we will open it up to the floor afterwards, is Preet Shah. Number 20, Preet Shah. Anyone else would like to speak and line up at the podium? Before you start talking, if you could state and spell your name, and I'll start the clock after.
Good evening, Suzanne DeFelice, I'm sorry, Ottaviano.
Congratulations.
155 Washington Street. I'm from Unit 1614 East.
And can you spell your name? And then I'll start the clock.
Ottaviano is Ottav is in Victor, Iano, and Suzanne, Suzanne. Good evening, everyone. I am speaking for the tenants, no surprise, at 100 Warren Street and 155 Washington Street. That is 527 households. I am asking this committee to use the authority it already has tonight on one narrow thing. First, the facts. On November 3rd, 2023, the Rent Leveling Board ruled that both buildings are subject to rent control. On August 7th, 2024, the Rent Leveling Bureau drafted a letter calculating the lawful base rent for every unit in both buildings. That was almost 2 years ago. Not one household has been sent its own number. We do not know what our lawful rent is because the office that calculated it has never told us. Our ask is have the Bureau email each household its own figure from that letter and send the owner the corresponding directive. It must go to all former and current tenants since 2016 with a copy to the tenants and send it to the Tenants Association presidents. The work is done. It is sitting in a file. We just want the information. The authority that you have is under NJSA 4069A-37. This council may require any municipal officer to submit sworn statements about their official duties and may investigate the conduct of any department or agency of city government. Under NJSA 4048-25, a committee of council members may issue a subpoena for testimony or for documents to any person in the state. In R.E. Shane decided in 1983, the New Jersey Supreme Court held unanimously that a council investigatory committee in a Faulkner Act city, like this one, has that power, that no separate statute is needed to grant it, and that the council does not need the administration's agreement to use it. Our four requests: 1, the August 7th, 2024 recalculation letter with every record showing whether it was ever sent to any tenant or to the owner. 2, a written answer to a yes or no question. Does any court order prevent the city from sending tenants their recalculated figures? If one exists, name it and give us the date. 3, for every year since 2016 at each building, the name and the dwelling unit number of every resident superintendent, and the records showing that information was given to tenants and posted in the building. Those people existed or they did not. 4, all leases and lease addenda used at these buildings since 2016, including every version of the rent control addendum and the dates each was in use. I'm not asking this committee to decide anything that is in front of a judge. I'm asking whether a document the city created almost 2 years ago can be given to the people it was created for. If a court has forbidden that, we would like to know which court and which order. That is a yes or no question, and no one has answered it. The statute says this council may inquire into any act or problem of the administration. It says any member may require a report on any aspect of city government by written request to the mayor. The mayor issued a rent control audit executive order in January. This request runs with that order, not against it. We are asking for one document to be emailed. If that cannot happen before your report is written, please put it in the report that it did not happen and why. We are asking for our own numbers from our own city, calculated by our own rent leveling bureau. Send them to us, and that can happen this week. And I mean, if you don't have our email, we can give you the email, and I can send this request to the email that you stated, because I know I said a lot, but anything anyone wants to add?
I believe I've written down the different requests that folks have made in terms of gathering information, but if you all feel up to sending a comprehensive list to rpsic@jcnj.org, that would be very helpful too.
Okay, thank you.
You referenced a letter 2024 that went out to tenants, was it?
A letter that went to tenants, we did not receive.
Or a ruling or something to that effect that was like,
Oh, well, we received the ruling that, we should be subject to rent control and the rent should be recalculated, but we've never been sent what our legal rents are and what they should be. So my lease, I need to sign by August 10th to renew. It's, they're proposing an illegal rent. I don't know what the rent should be based off of, but it is an illegal rent. And I mean, since I've lived in the building, which was since 2021, and the rent increases that I've incurred since then. If you do the math, it's a college tuition at this point of the damages that I personally and, my husband have incurred. So, it's just, to put it in more of a layman's terms, it's crazy.
I've never seen that ruling. I know there is a ruling, but if anyone has a copy of it, love to
I'm
get.
sure Kevin and the legal team have a copy.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Yes, Titus Hines, TITUSHINES. My concern is I'm representing a number of tenants. I live in the Montgomery Gateway East 1. We get mixed up with Gateway number 2, and Mr. Gilmore, I believe, is aware of that. My concern is that Montgomery Gateway has hired, or a management company has taken over, and you got to excuse my slow speech. You know how preachers are, we take our time. A management company has taken over shipment management of Montgomery Gateway East 1. To no knowledge of the tenants, were we aware of this management company taking over our complex. We have been taken to court. They have taken me to court, and you have to get it to make sense to me. How can I live in a unit with my wife and my daughter for a year and owe $20,000 in rent? They have, and I paid that. I paid the $20,000 in rent. When I questioned the management company, why did they not get all the information from Montgomery Gateway East 1 since they took over? I had to go. I was told by Tamara, one of the office managers, that I had to track down $20,000 worth of money orders. Rent was paid. I tracked the money orders down, and I'm still tracking money orders. Why? I could not understand, why was that my job and the other tenants' jobs to track down money orders? They had to go through their banks and get statements. Come to find out that Montgomery Gateway East 1, all of 2025, has not credited the tenants their rent. So I've been in court. I've been almost evicted because they was not giving me time to do the research, which I think they should have been doing, to get this money up. So I had to go in my private savings, and I wasn't at peace at home anyway. May 5th, I have been married 37 years, and most men know if your wife is not happy. And I'll leave that there. And I reached out to Mr. Gilmore, and I thank him for his time. His office did reach out to Montgomery Gateway East 1, and I got an email back saying that they had a meeting with the tenants, but it was not satisfactory to me because I'm the man of my house. My wife don't control or govern the administration affairs of my home. That's my responsibility. And I would have came prepared with other things, but I didn't have time to sign up to speak. But I think that we're still having issues. I reached out to Montgomery Gateway East 1, informed them that the payment plan agreement that they had me on, I paid it in advance. It was only a balance of $335. They're going to inform me, well, if you don't pay this, you're not sticking to the contract, then you're going to be evicted. So I paid the $335 on top of $20,000. Hopefully, I'm going to get the money back when the MoneyGram gives me the confirmations after they, it cost me get this, $20,000, $25 per research, right? So that was totaling me about almost another $1,000 because I got to track down this money. And we having these issues. They just locked out a handicapped person. This young man, he's handicapped, wheelchair bound, can't even get down the stairs, don't have access. If anything happened, he can't even get out the building. This is unacceptable. And I think that something needs to be done with this. I tried to sit on this until I got my business straight, because I'm too, like the young lady that was before me, I'm not afraid of anyone, especially if I know I'm right. But I think it was an injustice. Some of the seniors moved out. They living with their children. You still have some tenants now that's on the verge of being evicted because they are not tracking down the money orders and the money is not coming in fast enough for them to get. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. It's not fair. Listen, I'm for all people. It doesn't matter to me who you are, but I mean, it's a sense of, I would say, honor and respect that every person deserves. And what we received this past year, yes, they have meetings, but they unsatisfactory. They talking what we don't need to hear. What we need to hear, they don't discuss. And that is people's money. So I'm somewhat agitated with the situation because, like I said, when I got an email back from Mr. Gilmore's office, and they said, they said by Ms. Jones, they had a meeting and my wife was in attendance at the meeting. Hey, well, yes, she was at the meeting, but she wasn't going to address the things I needed to address because I'm the man of my home. So, and we're still going through this. Somebody need to come down there and save these tenants. I'm telling you, they are at the brink of being evicted. They're taking people to court like water. Why? Because Montgomery Gateway East 1 did not do their due diligence. 1 year, not to let they garnished my work check for no purpose at all because I tracked down their money orders. So they owe me $3,800 and something on that, on top of $20,000. Okay? So, and I have the proof of all of this. I just submitted to her, Miss Tamara, today, because I wanted reimbursement for the monies I tracked down.
30 seconds.
So I'm asking that someone or persons will come and handle this matter soon as possible because it's not fair. And the next meeting I will have everything I need to have because I need to feel like this needs to be addressed even further. So that's my concern, that why this company, now I would say lately they just now send out little memos. All Shipment Management is a management company of Montgomery Gateway East 1. But I had to make noise before we start getting that. Thank you.
And the name is On Shipment?
Shipment management.
Shipment?
Shipment management. It's SHI, I think without the P, management.
Shipment.
Yeah, it's a news. I was trying to look them up myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just for the record, can you provide the address of Montgomery Gateway East 1?
Yes, I believe it's 326 Montgomery Street.
Going down on the right.
Yes. And if I can say, I believe Mr. Gilmore received a lot of emails and texts and phone calls concerning this property, so he'll probably have more information on that.
Thank you. I remember the community meeting. Thank you.
Is there?
Do we have any other public speakers?
If not. So to Councilwoman Whittle, in addition to what I suggested as being entities to look at, I had the chance to read the ordinance for the right to counsel. We're sitting here, the amendment to Chapter 218, and in 218-17, Section 3-24, it names HEDC and a couple other things. So those would be entities to consider to see about levels of efficiency. The second thing I want to talk to what Councilman Gilman was on to before. So in my experience, when I talked about the 20 residents at 201 St. Paul's and 10 Huron, I went through hundreds of pages of documents. And in it, meaning is that while I believe the landlord-tenant division certainly could do better for communication, I don't know that they were properly guided by Corporation Counsel. Meaning is that when they came up against the landlord for the newly formed 201 Conversion Corporation, Corporation Counsel seemed to have taken a disposition to defend the city against any impropriety, not evil, but any omission or whatever, rather than taking the view of the tenant. So my humble suggestion is if whenever this right to counsel gets off the ground, you need a pit bull, not a poodle. You need somebody with gunpowder and not charcoal, activated charcoal powder. And that it should be not some entity that's born under Corporation Counsel. It should be a newly formed nonprofit of sorts where you pay legal counsel what a counsel might get from, or somewhat comparable to what they get from landlords and developers, so that they could buffer or they could represent tenants, not necessarily the city, or be timid in dealing with developers. So that's all I'd say.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Council or committee, if I may speak on behalf of the members of the public that were not represented today.
Time.
I just want to speak for the senior citizens. Erica Walker speaking on my own behalf, only because we've gotten many requests to create some type of legislation to enact some type of digital technology training mandated for tenants whose landlords are switching to digital methods of payment only. We're seeing landlords stop accepting money orders and checks and forcing their tenants to pay online only. And it's been a challenge, especially for our elders. So I didn't know if there was a way we could write legislation to mandate digital training if you're going to go to this digital technology only method.
So I believe that's actually illegal for them to do. They are, if the tenant is only able to pay by check or money order or something non-digital, they have to accept that. They can
Yeah.
mandate.
So we just need to know who these landlords are. So
Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank everyone for coming out. Like I said, we'll have another meeting on August 10th Please come back. Please inform your neighbors. Please inform your family members, your friends, your community members. We're trying to gather as much input as possible. With that being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I hear a motion to adjourn made by Councilman Gilmore, seconded by Councilman Ladaro at 7:26. Can I get
Aye.
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 motion approved? Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for coming out. See you on August 10th.
See you at the annex, not City Hall, but see you at the annex on August 10th.
August 10th at the annex. Yes, you may speak again on August 10th. It's open to the public. Please sign up to speak in advance so that we can have an idea of how long we'll stay in.